Okay, so now we're moving on to chat about your tasks as an event organizer pre-event. So it's a really good idea to make a to-do list for you. As an event organizer, you've got quite a lot of things to get done, and it's really good to set yourself deadlines for this. So when you're thinking about deadlines, just think about how long it's going to take to complete each task on your to-do list. For example, try to allow about 4 to 6 weeks for your event to be approved. We know this year has been really different, and we've been approving events on quite a short turnaround, but normally this isn't the case. And also try to consider the time that it will take to get landowner consent, if that's applicable for your race. So for example, any mountain bike or cyclocross events that you're hosting. Remember, you don't have to complete every single task on your to-do list yourselves. Try to delegate some tasks and prioritize which are the most important to get done first. And if you are asking other people to help you with your to-do list, give them deadlines as well so that things don't run on and on. We're going to mention this a lot today, but there's loads of templates and information in the useful resources section on your event organizer dashboard. So try to make this your first protocol if there's anything you're unsure about. But remember that the Scottish Cycling Events team are also here to help with any questions you have if you can't find it in the useful resources. There's a template manual in the useful resources section. And when you're putting together the manual, try to remember that this must bear the words under the technical regulations of the British Cycling Federation. Again, this is in the template, so hopefully it will help to remind you. Events involve a lot of people, so you can build your team to help you put on the event. So the people behind the events are you as the event organizer. You've got the overall responsibility for the event, and without you, the event wouldn't happen. You've got your commissaire team. The chief commissaire has the overall responsibility from when the competition starts to the finish and for approving the results. You have your judging and timing team, really important for getting accurate results. You have your marshals, they're the eyes and ears of your event out on the course. You have your first aid team, and of course you have your riders. So moving on to talk about the documentation and useful resources. So as I've mentioned, there are many, many useful resources on your organizer dashboard. And there's lots of templates for all the essential documentation that you'll need to provide for your event. Again, these are found under the useful resources section. Morven's going to talk about risk assessments more shortly. It's good practice to notify the police and the local authority of your event. Even if your event's on a traffic-free course, it's still good practice to notify the police that there will be an increase in numbers of people in that area and an increase in the traffic in that area as well. You must submit a vehicle insurance form before your event, and British Cycling members who have been appointed as convoy drivers will benefit from British Cycling insurance for the duration of the event. The driver must be the person who is normally insured on that vehicle. And I can't stress enough that the form must go in before the start of your event to benefit from the insurance. Changes to the required medical cover for events came into effect in March 2019. The British Cycling medical guidance can be found in the useful resources section. All events must have adequate first aid cover present and ready from before the start of the event, and this includes all official practice sessions. First aid cover must remain in place throughout the competition and until the event has finished. So thinking about the people that are involved in putting on your event. So as I mentioned, there's many people involved. Role profiles for each of the key personnel are available on your dashboard, and these include officials and timekeepers, volunteers in lead roles such as the chief marshal, finish line resources, and these include electronic and photo finish personnel if that's what you've decided to have for your event, line judges and timekeepers as well. And as I've said, the medical guidelines will outline what's required for first aid personnel. And you can start to think how you're going to recruit for these roles. You might need to outsource for some of the roles, and Ashley will talk about this in more detail shortly. Okay, now going on to think about your budget. There's no surprises here, but event budget template is available in the useful resources section of your dashboard. Planning a budget is really, really important for your event. Scottish Cycling, we want your events to be financially viable to avoid you as the event organizer being out of pocket. And we also support you as event organizers to set appropriate entry fees for your event. When you consider the value for money that riders get from entering a bike race, cycling's really a relatively cheap sport to compete in. And the majority of your income is going to come from your rider entry fees. You might want to consider applying for sponsorship or funding. So this has got huge benefits to your event. It could come in the form of donated prizes or cash funding. Some local authorities can have funding available that you can apply for, and Event Scotland can also offer funding, probably more to higher level events, but this might be something to consider as well. So things to consider when you're putting together your event budget include the registration fees for your event, hiring your HQ, levies, first aid, and electronic timing if this is something you've decided to have as part of your event. So rider levies are paid per rider in your event, and these must be paid within 7 days after your event. So remember to include the payment of these levies in your budget. So again, you can check the budget template, and this will have lots of things to consider when putting together your budget. So moving on to think about equipment now. Specific lists for each of the cycling disciplines can be found in the discipline-specific supplementary manuals on your event organizer dashboard. Each region has equipment that you can borrow. This can vary from region to region, but the regional equipment would be your first port of call for you to borrow equipment for your event. But Scottish Cycling also have equipment that you can borrow, so we can top up if there's anything that you need that your region doesn't have. Please contact your club development coordinator in advance of your event, so try to allow 8 to 10 weeks if you can, just to reserve any equipment and arrange collection from the regional store. So the first thing is UHF licensed two-way handheld radios and car kits. Remember to charge these the day before and have spare batteries. If your event's going on over the course of a whole day, it's likely that the batteries won't last, so spares are essential. Race numbers. For most disciplines, the best design for your race numbers is a black number on a white background. And you can also include any sponsor logos on your race numbers if you want to, if you've got this. Course signage. This will include race direction arrows, HQ, parking, toilets, caution cycle event signs. For the race flags, these will be red flags for your marshals, start and finish flags, yellow flags for 200 meters before the finish line. And stakes and tape, this will depend on the discipline of your event. So it's quite important for cyclocross and mountain bike events to mark out the race course and also to mark out the timing team area so that your timing team are kind of separated from everyone else, so people don't come up and try to chat to them and distract them when they're timing. A gazebo, especially when you've got inclement Scottish weather, keeping your event team dry will ensure that they have a good day and they're more likely to volunteer for you again if you put on a race in the future. Other bits of equipment that you'll need are marshal, high vis and whistles. So you might want to let your event team know what equipment you'll be providing and what they need to bring for themselves. So at this point, we'd normally open the floor for questions. So just take this moment to write down any questions that you've got from what we've gone through so far, and then bring these questions to our troubleshooting session that we're going to have so that you can ask any questions and we can help answer them for you.